So here, this is the very first part. This is my very first video on data cleaning. So why is data cleaning important? Why do you think it is important? It is important because data cleaning is like treating the data before you start off with any study, any research on that data set. And it is one of the very essential and crucial part of the model building process, of the processes that comes before model building. So here is the outline. Here what it is the overview of what all things we are going to discuss. What is data cleaning? Why is it required? What does unclean data look like? Because in the end you it is better to understand from an example rather than understanding theoretically. So I'll show you how it looks like. How will I know the data is missing or it might be missing? Understanding the data. Under understanding the data, I have listed a few methods, Panda methods, that you can use to analyze data before you proceed with any cleaning process. Intuition of the missing data. Under intuition of the missing data, we have used the missingno library to visualize the missing data. After visualization, we have counted the missing values in each column. And lastly, we have discussed a few methods to deal with the missing values. What is data cleaning? Why is it required? Now, data cleaning is a process. It is a process of treating missing values and erroneous values in a data set. Now, as I have earlier discussed, it is very necessary, very crucial to clean data because it directly affects the accuracy of your algorithm, accuracy of your model. The second question is sorry, it's a small grammatical mistake. What does unclean data look like? What does unclean data look like? Unclean data basically refers to missing values, NaN values, none values. Now, here is a small alert that NaN values and none values are different. They are not the same. This thing we'll discuss in the upcoming slides. Outlier values are also treated, also come under the category, or outlier values also come under the category of unclean data. Data in different format. Now, data in different format. Here, by data in different format, I mean that suppose there is a column date of birth. Everyone, every day, and there are 40 students in your class. You are recording the date of birth of each and every student. And one student mentions the date of birth as Tuesday. But Tuesday is not a date, right? It's the wrong format. The data is present in the wrong format. Although it might be partially correct, but the format is wrong, and we might not be able to draw an effective conclusion from such data. So, data in the wrong format is also unclean data. Presence of erroneous values. There might be some dummy values that are present. By dummy values, I mean that 0, 1, 2. Dummy values are values like any value that is not of relevance, or that is treated as an error, that can be treated as a bug in the data. Now the next slide. How will I know the data is missing or it might be missing? Now you have the data set. You just have to understand. You just have to like get an intuition just by seeing at just by looking at the data set, that whether uh, it will contain missing values or not. If the data type for a column is object, you can say that that column may contain missing data. If second point is like when you use the head and the tail function and you spot values, you spot none values, NaN values, dummy values, or different values, you find something fishy in those 5 rows, then you can say that okay, the data is missing. Moving to the next slide. What does unclean data look like? Now, here you can see that a none value does not correspond to any information. NaN value NaN value does not correspond to any information. Now I am not answering this. Okay, this is underweight. Not sure 240. All these values, either they are erroneous or they have a different format. The data is recorded in a different format. Here the data is followed by string. So all these erroneous values we need to treat. That's why uh, we are learning different methods to clean data. Now, understanding data. Before you proceed with data cleaning part, you need to understand what the data looks like, or how is the distribution of the data. Not distribution, we are not precisely talking about the distribution. What your data is comprised of, basically. So what you will do, you will first load the data using the pandas library in Python. Pandas is used for data processing, data transformation. All the things that we do to data or we do with data is accomplished using the pandas library of Python. So display the first 5 rows. For displaying the first 5 rows, you use df.head, because by default df.head will list the first 5 rows, first 5 records in your data set. If you if you enter a value here, suppose 10, so it will then explicitly you are mentioning that you want to see the first 10 records in the data set. So it will show the first 10 records, but by default it will show the first 5 records. Similar thing goes with df.tail. Df.tail will list the last 5 rows in a data set. List the columns in a data set. For listing the columns, you have df.columns. To know the size of the data set, you have df.shape. And if you want to know the data type in each column and the memory used by the data, how many non-null values are there in each column, all these questions together are answered by the df.info method. .info method, right? Okay, so I think I'm clear till here. If you have any doubts, any queries, the comment section is meant for that. You can post your comments and I'll surely answer. I'll try to answer those questions. Okay. So I want to get the intuition of the missing data. Now, how will I get an intuition of the missing data? So the first thing comes when we talk about intuition is visualization. You can visualize that data. For that sake, we have missingno library of Python. And missingno library of Python has two functions. Matrix function, it has many functions, but we are here in this lecture, we are going to discuss two functions very elaborately. Matrix function and the bar function. So what, first of all, matrix function. This is the bar function. This one is the matrix function. So matrix functions displays the data in the form, in the tabular form, and all the gray area or colored space, gray space, refers to the presence of data, indicates the presence of data, and all the white lines indicate the absence of data. Okay, and to the right, I think this picture might not be visible, but you can try this. On the right, you have this circle here indicates the total number of columns in your data set. And here we have all the columns that do not have missing values. Like in this case, we have our data set has 61 columns, and 50 columns out of those 61 columns do not have even a single missing value. So this is displayed in the right, to the right of the figure, and to the left we have the total number of records. To the left, to the bottom left, we have the number of records. Yes. Now the second function, the bar function, what bar function does, it represents each and every data column in the form of graph, in the form of bar, and that bar indicates the ratio of missing values. So what the bar is indicating? The ratio of missing values. So here how many missing values are there? 80% of values in this column, this particular column, I cannot read the column, but I can say there are labels. So here in this column 80% of the values are missing. So to the left we have a scale, the ratio scale, which indicates the ratio of the missing values. Ratio of the present values. These gray bars represent the indicate the presence of data. And to the right we have the number of records. The scale, uh, the scale, the marking in the scale is the number of records. And in the bottom we have the label, we have the name of the column. The name of the bar is actually the name of the column. You can change the data, the bar color to any color you like. Suppose using the color argument in this missno.bar function, you can use the color argument. And labels is set to true. Here the label is set to true. So by when we set the label to true, we get these labels. Okay. Now, now we have a now we have an overview. We have an intuition of how many data records are missing. But when we want a clear picture, when we want a clear count of missing values in each column, we can use this one-liner df.isNull.sum. This will give you the list of missing values, the list of count of missing values in each column. And when you check the data type of the result that is being generated using this function, you see that the data type is integer 64. Alternative to this command is df is the data frame that we have earlier loaded, is na.sum. It does the same thing that df.isNull.sum is doing. Now, there are two types of missing values in Python, none and np.nan. So here I have summarized the properties of each of these missing value types. If we perform a logical OR operation on two none values, what we get is true. When we perform logical OR operation on np.nan value, what we get is an nan value. If we check the equality of two none values, the outcome comes to be true. When we perform an arithmetic operation on a none value, the output is we get an error. Okay. When we check the data type of a none value, the data type of a none value is none type. This is the data type of a none value. Now np.nan, none and np.nan are two different categories, are two different kinds. So this np.s is nan is going to return false, of course. Now properties of np.nan. np.nan, if you perform any arithmetic operation on it, you will get nan value. When you check the type of nan value, you get float. When you see whether two nan values are equal or not, you will get false. This is astonishing, but you will get false because it is a convention that nan value is treated as some undefined value about which we do not know. So there is one undefined value, there is another undefined value, and I am checking the equality. I do not know anything about them. So of course the result is going to be false. They are not going to be equal, right? Yes. So this was all about two different types of missing values in Python. Dealing with missing values. Now we have discussed a lot about missing values. How we are going to treat these missing values.